menempuh cabaran. Sehati sejiwa kita bersama mencapai kejayaan. Tak kira bangsa dan agama, demi negara tercinta, bersatu padu kita mesti menang.
Bersama kita mesti menang.
Tolong menolong dan bersama menempuhi cabaran luar biasa ini.
Mari kita sama-sama menempuhi cabaran. Sehati sejiwa kita bersama, semangat kita.
Kalau boleh rakyat Malaysia kekal duduk di rumah,
jadi tolonglah duduk rumah. Senanglah.
We definitely can go through this fighting.
Bersama kita mesti menang. Bersama menempuh gelora. Mari kita berdoa untuk Malaysia. Jua anda berada dari perlisihnya sabar.
Good evening and welcome to MSME News Network. Update of Ministry of Finance's Laksana report. The Minister of Finance Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz had on Tuesday, June 9, 2020, announced the pre-Hatin stimulus package updates in the Laksana report. Firstly, on wage subsidy program WSP, up to June 5th, 4 billion ringgit had been approved for over 293,000 employers, benefiting 2.3 million employees. This represents an increase of 780 million ringgit approved for 100,000 employees compared to 2 weeks ago. Secondly, MOF also stated that as of June 5th, more than 202,000 employees had received over 240 million ringgit under the ERP program, which MOF says represents double the original allocation of 120 million ringgit. During the conditional MCO period ending June 9th, the government found that ERP applications had declined from 15,000 per week in April to about 300 applications per week in early June. MOF attributes the decline to the gradual opening of the economy in early May. Third is with regards to the EPF's COVID-19 assistance program, ECAP for employers. As of June 5th, 29,601 applications had been received and 6,500 applications were approved, representing 42.9 million ringgit in terms of employers' contribution as compared to 34.8 million ringgit recorded 1 week ago. Fourth, the SME soft loan funds under Bank Negara Malaysia's BNM supervision. As of June 5th, the total financing amount of 7.5 billion ringgit had been approved by local banks and officially accepted by more than 18,000 MSMEs. This amount includes funds from the Special Relief Facility and Agro-Food Facility. Fifth, the Prihatin Special Grant Khas Prihatin for MSMEs. Of the 81,260 applications reviewed by the LHDN, 35,800 applications representing 44% have been approved. Approved applicants may begin checking the status from June 9th onwards. For the approved applications, payment will be made by end of June. The appeal period is still open until June 15th via the LHDN's official portal, gkp.hasil.gov.my. Sixth, on the BSN and Tekun Nasional Microcredit Scheme as of June 5th, under the BSN Microcredit Scheme, 5,222 applications have been approved, valued at 190.9 million ringgit. As for the Tekun program, more than 19,000 applications were approved, amounting to 151 million ringgit. According to MOF, the Prihatin measures will be implemented concurrently with those under Penjana. Last Friday, on June 5th, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin announced the National Economic Recovery Plan, or Pelanjana Semula Ekonomi Negara, Penjana, valued at 35 billion ringgit. The focus of Penjana is on employment, and the government has allocated almost 9 billion ringgit to benefit 3 million workers. As for businesses, there are various initiatives to assist large companies, SMEs, as well as micro enterprises. Out of that amount, 10 billion ringgit represents the government's direct fiscal injection. Penjana has three main thrusts, namely empower people, propel businesses, and stimulate the economy. Each of the 40 initiatives will fulfill either a few or all of the four following objectives, namely, firstly, enabling work and reducing unemployment, followed by ensuring affordability and providing liquidity, thirdly, digitization and operating in the new norm, as well as fourth, increasing consumer and investor confidence. In view of this, a few associations have shared their comments regarding Penjana with MSME News Network, such as Gabungan Persatuan Penjajah dan Peniaga Kecil Melayu Malaysia, GPP PKMM, or the Federation of Malay Hawkers and Petty Traders Association of Malaysia, the SME Association of Malaysia, SMEAM, as well as the Kuala Lumpur Malay Chamber of Commerce, KLMCC. These associations have been at the forefront of championing the welfare of the MSME segment, especially more strenuously, since the beginning of the movement control order imposed nationwide to curb the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak, thus putting a dent on the nation's overall economy. Begin with, SME Association of Malaysia National President Datuk Michael Kang notes that Penjana is a recovery plan that helps MSMEs in the digitization transformation process. He says the plan helps to cushion the adverse impact of the MCO on the business environment as well as to reduce the dependency on labor in certain industries with intensive labor requirement. Kang also states that Penjana focuses on the upskilling and equipping of the labor workforce with digital and online skills towards creating a new digital industry. Next, GPP PKMM Young Traders Bureau Chief Muhammad Nazri Kamarul Zaman says the association receives Penjana well. He mentions that micro traders can make use of some of the initiatives to help them get on board the digitization process.
Kita menyambut baik apa yang diumumkan oleh kerajaan untuk plan pemulihan ekonomi jangka pendek. Ini merupakan satu inisiatif yang cukup membantu penjajah dan peniaga kecil secara amnya. Ada beberapa dana yang terus membantu penjajah dan memberi manfaat kepada penjajah, antaranya ialah mengenai tentang e-dagang. Dan kita berharap semua penjajah dan peniaga mengambil peluang daripada apa yang ditawarkan oleh kerajaan pada ini melalui Penjana. Mengenai e-dompet yang diumumkan oleh kerajaan iaitu sebanyak RM50 ini juga sebenarnya membantu penjajah dan peniaga kecil. Tetapi penjajah dan peniaga kecil harus mengambil peluang untuk mendapatkan aplikasi yang membolehkan menerima pembayaran e-dompet ini. Kami di Persatuan Penjajah akan membuat beberapa program baru dan beberapa penambahan baru supaya penjajah dan peniaga kecil tidak ketinggalan untuk menerima limpahan apa yang dibuat oleh kerajaan. Kami di Persatuan Penjajah akan terus membantu penjajah dan peniaga kecil ini dan akan menggunakan sepenuhnya platform warung digital sebagai medium e-commerce yang boleh membantu penjajah berniaga dalam talian. Dalam masa yang sama, kita juga tengah membangunkan platform untuk servis penghantaran iaitu warung rider yang akan dilancarkan dalam masa terdekat ini. Dan ini akan membantu penjajah dan peniaga kecil sama ada yang berniaga di tepi jalan ataupun yang berniaga daripada rumah untuk mencari pendapatan sepanjang tempoh pelaksanaan PKPP ini atau dalam masa-masa yang akan datang.
Ahmad Hussein Tajuddin, Acting President of Kuala Lumpur Malay Chamber of Commerce KLMCC, provides the association's views on Penjana for the benefit of its members as well as the overall Malaysian business sector. Have a listen.
We from the Kuala Lumpur Malay Chamber of Commerce welcomes the government 35 billion short-term economy recovery plan, or also known as Penjana, to kickstart the recovery stage in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. I think the announcement is timely in order to address the prospect of unprecedented levels of unemployment and slowdown in the Malaysian economy. Overall, the key initiative presented in Penjana are balanced, and it is coverage of the different target groups and business areas. The focus on digital investment for consumer and business adaptation is also forward-leaning. I think the government has done well to manage the crisis and keep everyone ahead above water, but we need to know what the government plan beyond this. These medium and long-term economic plans will actually help boost business and consumer confidence and sentiments, which then only will turn support to economy recovery. Therefore, we from Kuala Lumpur Malay Chamber of Commerce would like also to urge government to ensure educate long-term thinking in this Penjana implementation in order to guide the economy exit from the crisis mode. I would like to see how the government plans to help SMEs in traditional and low-value industries so they can move higher up to the value chain. I also hope that wage subsidy program being extended to all employees regardless of wage level, and I think removal of the limit of 200 employees per company. We also call on the government to place more emphasis on mid-tier companies and also introduce more initiatives to support them, given their capability and capacity and the fact that they represent a large portion of the total employment in the country. I urge this before already and stress these issues that bank must help SME through few ways. This is by simplifying the loan application process, tailoring the product and services to suit their needs, and by this helping SME with the adaptation of technology into their operation. Some of the common problem faced by SME is trying to obtain financing, including complication and lengthy application process, and sometimes not having a proper guidance or information on type of financing they should opt for. I think the government will also need to discuss and refine the terms of the loan borrowers, in particular for new application that has existing loan. We have members who are facing problem in getting loan due to their old debts. Many of them seem to be unable to meet this condition imposed by the lender due to conditions that are too restrictive to make it difficult for borrowers to obtain loan. If these conditions are not mitigated, I'm very concerned that entrepreneurs cannot enjoy the government stimulus package, Penjana initiative, and this will frustrate the effort of these entrepreneurs to access financial aid. We from the Kuala Lumpur Malay Chamber of Commerce commends the government approach in having more regular public communication to report on the status and progress of this economic stimulus measure. At the same time, we would like to add that parliamentary scrutiny and oversight of the government action need to be urgently improved.
Under Penjana, incentives and programs to ensure job retention have been rolled out to address the rising unemployment phenomenon in Malaysia. Not only that, 700 million ringgit in provision of grants and loans were also announced to enable more companies to subscribe to digitization services. These include, firstly, 100 million ringgit SME digitalization matching grant in collaboration with telecommunication companies. Secondly, a 500 million ringgit SME Technological Transformation Fund to be disbursed as soft loans. And thirdly, 100 million ringgit smart automation grant to be received by eligible companies of 1 million ringgit each. Apart from that, a 10 million ringgit matching grant has been provided through the Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Center, MAGIC, for social enterprises that successfully crowdsource contributions and donations to undertake social projects through innovative methods. Muhyiddin also says in order to encourage the rakyat to support local products and services, the government has continued the Buy Malaysia campaign, where hypermarket chains have been encouraged to highlight local products as well as establish dedicated Malaysian product channels on e-commerce platforms. For one thing, the government has decided to consolidate the ERP into the WSP, which has now been expanded under Penjana. From June 15 onwards, the WSP will allow employers to apply for the wage subsidy for their workers who have been put on unpaid leave. Additionally, Muhyiddin announced that policies to support the growth of the gig economy will also be formulated. MOF states that both the Prihatin and Penjana packages are worth 295 billion ringgit. While it is hoped that Penjana will be able to minimize the legal impact of COVID-19, the highlight of the announcement remains that the government has agreed to draft a COVID-19 bill. The bill serves to provide businesses with temporary relief from certain contractual obligations for a prescribed period. COVID-19 has forever changed the way the Malaysian economy operates, with disruptions to the global supply chain, changes in consumption habits, and new operating procedures impacting business processes. Participants of the Malaysian economy need to recalibrate and realign within this new norm. While the first quarter of 2020 saw the Malaysian economy grow at 0.7%, however, it is expected that overall GDP growth for 2020 could be as low as negative 4.7%, according to the government. Based on the Penjana report, the Prihatin economic stimulus packages are expected to contribute an estimated 2.8% to the GDP growth. Nevertheless, more is required to stimulate the economy and to enable its recovery by 2021 and beyond. As such, proactive steps remain to be taken to stem the economic slowdown. And that about Answer News for the day. Stay tuned to MSME News Network. This has been Charlene Pang. Thank you for watching.
Mari kita sama-sama menempuh cabaran, sehati sejiwa kita bersama mencapai kejayaan. Tak kira bangsa dan agama, demi negara tercinta, bersatu padu kita mesti menang.
Bersama kita mesti menang.
Tolong menolong dan bersama menempuhi cabaran luar biasa ini.
Mari kita sama-sama menempuhi cabaran, sehati sejiwa kita bersama, semangat kita.
Kalau boleh rakyat Malaysia kekal duduk di rumah,
Jadi tolonglah duduk rumah. Senang je.
We definitely can go through this by the end.
Bersama kita mesti menang. Bersama menempuh gelora, mari kita berdoa untuk Malaysia. Jua anda berada dari perlis hingga Sabah.
Told me not to try, not to aim too high, to surrender. Dreams would surely fade away, a fairy tale cliche, a pretender. But I kept my head above it all. They could not stop me. back up on my feet after each fall. And now look at me, I'm here, staring at a brand new page, standing on a promised stage with the titans of tomorrow. No fear, you can try to prove me wrong, but I know that I belong with the titans of tomorrow. Yes, I know that it's a long road, but I am marching on in battle mode to the beating of my heart. Oh, every step is gonna get me there. Blood and sweat and tears, but I don't care. I know I've got to play my part. 'Cause I will keep my head above it all. You will not stop me. Back up on my feet after each fall. It's my destiny. I'm here, staring at a brand new page, standing on a promised stage with the titans of tomorrow. No fear, you can try to prove me wrong, but I know that I belong with the titans of tomorrow. I'm here, staring at a brand new page, standing on a promised stage with the titans of tomorrow.